Hey, good morning. I'm Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. This week, the Mariners are inching closer to their first ever World Series appearance, but there's still plenty of nerves. Half of Seattle's renters are moving apartments every 2 years. And which ice cream shop has the best banana split, if you're brave enough to even order one? KUOW Mariners superfans Casey Martin and Andy Hurst are here to break down the week. But first, let's get you caught up. We're going to talk a lot about what it means to be a Mariners fan on the show today, but even if you're not attending in the stands, the churn is likely to impact traffic and transit. Plan ahead for packed buses and trains today. This is the last home game of the American League Championship Series before it heads back to Toronto. First pitch is at 3:08. If you're planning to join the second nationwide No Kings rally and march tomorrow, people are meeting at Seattle Center at noon. Speakers include Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and King County Council Chair Gurmai Zahalai. Events are happening throughout the state on Saturday, including Olympia, Bellingham, and Tacoma. Organizers say more than 2,500 events are planned across the U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson has called the movement a Hate America rally. And the Seattle Landmarks Preservation Board has rejected a proposal to remove all ladders, catwalks, and support systems from the Gasworks Park towers. Seattle Parks proposed the changes after a 15-year-old died after falling from one of the towers last July, one of 3 deaths and multiple injuries since 2008. Axios reports that members of the Preservation Board argued the structures have historical significance. They suggested adding lighting and security cameras as an alternative. Check back for more headlines on tonight's episode of Seattle Now. It's Friday again. I hope you're feeling the Mariners fever. Andy Hurst is here. He's Seattle Now's senior producer and a longtime Mariners fan. Also, Casual Friday first-timer. Andy, how you doing? How you feeling?
I work on the show, and this is my first time. Come on. Just kidding. It's great to be here. Thanks.
I am so glad. Casey Martin's here, too. He's a reporter at KUOW, also longtime Mariners fan. Casey, we're bringing the M's fans in. Welcome back.
Thank you. I do not work on the show. Happy to be here.
All right, you two, before we dive in, it is hard to overstate how much we love our southern resident orcas around here. Now, a group of UW scientists are trying to listen more closely to them, their clicks and calls through fiber optic cables on the ocean floor. This, of course, in the hopes of learning more about them. Scientists have already recorded low rumblings from fin whales and blue whales off the coast of Oregon. Do you think one day we'll understand the whales? What do you think they're talking about down there?
One thing, I'm just really jealous that whales got fiber optic internet before I did. I'm a little jealous about that, but fine. The whales get to have it nice. That's fine. I love this. I think the more that we get to know, as you said, they are a beloved population. There's only about 75 of these resident orcas. And, you know, this is an animal that really just speaks to so much of that's going on here in the climate, about, you know, our water conditions, how the salmon runs are doing. So I think the more that we can learn about the whales, the better we will know about this area. So I think this is really cool. I like that UW is part of it, and I can't wait to hear these sounds. I love underwater, microphones, all that kind of stuff. I think it's great.
I would listen to this as a podcast. Give me the clicks. Give me the orca sounds. I often sleep to like white noise.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll put on like nature sounds to try to go to sleep. I would love to just listen to this for hours. This is incredible research. I'm glad they're doing it.
Yeah, the Orca Network has hydrophones all over BC, and you can hear the whales, the little, all that.
I do worry about the privacy. Okay, they're listening to the whales nonstop.
It is a two-party consent state.
Okay, that is good. As long as the whales are consenting, that's fine. And as long as their ads are being better targeted towards them by listening to those clicks, that's good.
All right, moving on to the big story of the week. We got KUOW's biggest Mariners fans in the chair this week, so you know we're talking about baseball. Just to be clear, we're taping this Thursday afternoon, so we only have Wednesday's game to go off of, and boy, that was a rough one, you two. The Mariners started hot in the first inning, but things just got worse from there. Time for a deep breath. Let's start off this conversation with a mental health check. How are you doing, Andy?
Here's my approach to sports, okay? I am known around here, the office, and my friends as a doomer. It's just part of my personality.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
I go into every game and every series expecting the worst to happen, because then if they lose, you're not crushed. You're not too disappointed. If they win, you're feeling great because that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not doing too bad today on Thursday as we tape this because I sort of expected this might happen. Baseball is a funny game, right? You go on the road after playing that 15-inning game. You're traveling to Toronto. You're tired. And you rattle off 2 relatively easy wins. You come back home. You're thinking, all right, now it's really going to get kicked into high gear. And you get the doors blown off. That's baseball.
You know, you gave me this perspective before the game, and it was super helpful to me. So thank you for that, because as a passive dip-in sports fan, this is very difficult for me. So I appreciated your tempered language and attitude towards the game. Casey, how about you?
Yeah, there definitely is something about being a Mariners fan, and the idea of like getting your hopes up just seemed a little foolish. So yeah, it's been a very fun start to the series. I like to think of Wednesday night's game of like, all right, we had all these Canadians drive down from Vancouver. They had to come down I-5, throw them a bone. You know, give them one W, but then curtains. Then
Generous.
It's all over.
That's generous.
You know, I love my Canadian friends to the north. You know, give them a little something, give them a little win, but then right back to business.
All right. Is it weird to be this far into October and still rooting for the Mariners? Is that a silver lining?
It is very weird, Trish. I don't know what to do with these feelings. I mean, the last time they were this far was in 2001. I was in college at the time. I remember following those games. I wasn't living in Seattle, so maybe it felt like it wasn't quite as present in my life. But this is a very unusual feeling to have. By this time in the year, I've turned the page on baseball.
Right.
I'm into full on into football season, watching the Seahawks. I'm not used to being this stressed out in October. Let's just say that. It's very stressful.
Oh, man. On the bright side, we can, as we record this on Thursday, say Happy Humpy Day. Mayor Bruce Harrell declared Thursday a holiday celebrating our friend Humpy's Salmon Run victory last week. You know, City Hall hosted an event Thursday to show that the city's all in on the Mariners. But isn't it kind of a missed opportunity to not have it on a Wednesday? It's Hump Day. It's a natural fit, Humpy Day.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
Come on. Hump
really?
Day, Humpy Day.
I know, and it only works this year because next year it won't be necessarily a Wednesday, right? Because the calendar moves. But come on.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to celebrate Humpy Day years to come, Trish?
Every October 16th?
The Mariners let Humpy win again on Wednesday, but it didn't help. This was such a brilliant marketing move the first time. Maybe you only get one shot.
Okay, I totally agree with this.
Yeah.
When this happened in the extra inning win, it was perfect. It was like Humpy finally wins. It was the second salmon race of the night because the game went so long. Having Humpy win again on Wednesday night, I don't know. That's like when you're a kid and you tell a joke and like your parents laugh and then you keep walking around the Thanksgiving telling everyone in the family the same joke and they're like, okay, we've heard this a million times.
Such a good analogy.
I think they had one shot. They can't keep doing this.
Yeah. What do you think, Casey?
Yeah, it does feel a little like the momentum is kind of dwindling a little bit.
You can only drop that firecracker once.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, and now that he's accountable for a loss, we do hold Humpy responsible for that loss.
Boy, man, you're only as good as your last salmon run.
Absolutely. Yeah, so bring Silver back, bring King. Humpy's dead to me.
All right.
In this business, it's like, what have you done for me lately?
That's what I want to know.
It's a fickle world out there. The Mariners Blue Jays series moved to Seattle Wednesday, and T-Mobile Park celebrated the occasion by bringing in some new stadium food. What's your go-to order at the Mariners game, Casey? Have you been disappointed in a dish there?
Let me talk about my disappointment, Trish. What happened to the $3 Uncrustables?
Oh,
This city
I knew that
has
was your
got
go-to.
Worse and worse every day that we get farther away from $3 Uncrustables. That was my go-to.
Yeah,
We typically get a value beer, which are hard to come by in the postseason. But that's a different conversation. Definitely a value beer, and I'd usually get 2 $3 Uncrustables. One strawberry, one grape. I'm not picking favorites. Those are long gone. All right, you got to sneak in your own Uncrustable these days. So, yeah, I'm not buying a lot of food at the ballpark these days.
Value dog, hot dog.
That's your
Yeah,
stamp.
there you go.
And I will say, this wasn't the Mariners' decision, but I did go to the first postseason game.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find my value dog, trying to find my $5 value beer. They weren't selling them.
Wow.
Shut down the value menu for the postseason. I was so bummed.
Wow. Okay. All right. Maybe it's time to try the Huckle Nut Cannoli, which is a rosemary-scented cannoli shell filled with huckleberry sweet cream, or the shareable Bigfoot barbecue platter, which is a full rack of pork ribs covered with huckleberry barbecue sauce, served with coleslaw, cornbread, and baked beans for $40. Money aside, what the hell can you do with a rack of ribs in the stands?
Okay, here's the thing about spending that much money on barbecue at the stadium. Anything at the stadium, sushi or even Thai food, things like, it's never going to be as good at the stadium, right? It's going to be smaller portions. I mean, I don't think it's worth it to spend that kind of money on barbecue. You can get barbecue in Seattle for way less than $40 that I'm pretty sure is going to taste better than at the stadium.
All right.
Yeah, I'll get a half rack of ribs at the ballpark, not a full rack. You know,
all right. Casey
Imagine the
knows where
high
he stands.
fives though with the barbecue hands. You could go crazy.
You're licking your fingers and giving high fives all over, covered in bibs. I love that. I like the whole idea of like a whole row sharing a rack of ribs. Pass a rib down.
Well, it's not just inside T-Mobile Park, too, right? Because local spots are loading up on specials as well, using Cal Raleigh's nickname most of the time, according to Ton Vin at the Seattle Times. The Big Dumper Hoagie for $16 at Post Alley Pizza, just one example. Well, if you're not in the park for the game, would you rather be in a crowded bar or in your home?
I gotta be home. Just I can't be around people. People don't want it. They don't need it. It cannot happen. Actually, a friend of mine during the Detroit series was like, "Hey, do you want to go and watch the game tonight?" And I was just like, I have to be alone. I can't. And so I'm pacing around. I got the game on mute. I'm putting like music on in the background. I don't know. I can't focus on it too much. And being around people, they don't want this misery.
Yeah,
what about you, Casey?
He puts on his calming whale sounds and watch us lose a very winnable game. I'm not a big bar guy. If I get invited, I won't go to a bar myself. But if people are saying it, I don't like massive crowds. It is fun, I got to say, when it's a winning night. And there is a feel when people are really getting into this. I also love when you're at a restaurant or a bar and like the whole staff's getting into it. So like they're stopping and watching and like turning around. I love when people get really into things.
All right. Well, I've seen a lot of hometown pride all over the city this week. Some of it very specific, you two. Season ticket holder Jeremy Bellwood celebrated the Mariners' playoff run this week by hopping in his plane and drawing a trident with his flight pattern. King 5 reports the season ticket holder of 10 years flew his blue and white Glass Air Sportsman over T-Mobile Park to show the pride. You needed a flight tracker to see the pattern, of course, but I did see it on Reddit. Someone took a picture. Have you been showing your Mariners pride this week? Anything different than usual? Andy, I know you had
my Mariners flannels.
I saw the flan.
I'm wearing my Mariners. I got my bad attitude and my Mariners flannels, and I'm good to go.
And what about you, Casey?
My only quibble with this pilot is if there's no skywriting, you know what I mean, the smoke, I don't buy it.
Yeah, there was no
We
smoke.
just have to trust your GPS. You could have written anything up. For all we knew, he drew a blue jay. I don't buy it. I want to see some skywriting.
He says the sole purpose was to motivate the Mariners, but you're right, I guess.
I would like to ask the Mariners if they were even aware that this happened. That's what I want to know.
Well, our pilot might actually be a contender for this next story if he can prove what he did. Seattle Times is looking for the biggest Mariners fans in Washington. They want to know who lives and dies with every game, at bat and pitch, who bleeds Navy and teal. You can nominate yourself or someone you know. Do you have somebody in your life that you'd be nominating? Is it too egotistical to nominate yourself?
Andy, number one, right here. Biggest cheerleader. He brings the charisma. He brings the boom. Right
charisma.
Here. A bad attitude and flannels. Find me a bigger Mariners fan than that.
I'm the worst Mariners fan. So my old landlord, where I used to live in Seattle, he wears a homemade Mariners vest that his wife made him.
Oh.
It's so adorable. It is not amazing looking in terms of the quality,
Andy.
but it's cool. It's teal. It's got some Mariners patches. He wears this vest around baseball season, and I always think
It's so sweet.
that is a sweet thing to do.
Yeah.
his wife put a lot of energy into making him this homemade vest.
That's
It's
adorable.
cute.
That's
So-
adorable.
So I'm going to say Dennis.
All right. The game day parking rates around T-Mobile Park are getting worse and worse. Some of the game day prices for the Mariners have gotten near $90. I swear I saw $120 posted somewhere. That would cut into my food budget. That would preclude me from getting a rack of ribs.
Yeah.
To split with my friends.
Yeah, we saw a similar thing, when the All-Star game was here and when there's big events. And it is so funny to see an area that I think is pretty accessible with light rail. Or maybe if you get dinner downtown, you can just walk to the Pioneer Square area. I think it's a very lovely area to walk around. But yeah, I'm always surprised by those parking rates. But, they're making good money.
Who ends up in those lots?
I think people that live outside of the city that don't have good transit in.
We're gouging them.
I live in the city. I always take the train to the game. I would never, ever drive. I know that's not an option for everyone, but just if you can avoid it, do not do it.
Yeah, the traffic alone, getting in and out is rough. And then, I agree with you. I've seen signs at well over $100.
Yeah, no, bananas. Yeah. That just feels like terrible price gouging to me. I don't like that. My city does that. But, of course, hanging with the plebs comes at a price, too, because you're squeezed into the damn train like sardines. And if the Mariners lose, if the game doesn't go your way, it's a really miserable ride.
That is a rough ride home.
Yeah.
I've done that ride home before. It's not
I've
good.
done it as, not even gone to the game and been like, what is happening on this train?
People will be silent, and then there might be, one drunk person, raging in the corner, just, screaming to themselves. Not good.
All right, moving on to our next topic. It's not news to anyone. It's expensive to be a renter in this city, and Seattleites are apartment hopping as a result. A new study from Rent Cafe found that nearly half of Seattle renters switch apartments in less than 2 years. It seems people are just bouncing around the city trying to find a cheaper place to live. Casey, when's the last time you moved?
I moved in 2020, so I've been in my place for 5 years now.
Okay.
My wife and I rent a home, and our dream is to own a home one day, but I feel like every year that goes by, that's less and less of a reality. And it makes sense. Seattle, majority of people here are renters. They're not homeowners. And, housing costs alone, going out to eat, we were just talking about food prices.
Yeah.
I mean, good luck getting a slice of pizza and a drink, with your significant other, and for that to be under $50.
Oh, my gosh. No kidding. No kidding.
So, this doesn't surprise me at all. And I really wish that more working people and families could have the stability of staying in their homes without constantly trying to look for a place that's maybe $100 cheaper a month or something.
Very disruptive. Andy, how long have you been in your place?
Just about 3 years now. In the building I'm in, it's a little bit under market. I rent. Part of that is because it is that unreinforced masonry. It's on the bad list. We're recording this on the day of the great shakeout, so I'm taking a risk by living in an old building that could easily crumble in an earthquake. Also, kind of the deal with the building I live in is that the person who owns it has said, I might sell this someday soon, and when that happens, it'll almost certainly be torn down and something else will be built. So we're sort of living in this building knowing that we might have to move at any time pretty quickly. So I'm taking some chances in my place. Let's just say that.
What makes an apartment worth staying in, aside from being reinforced from earthquakes?
I mean, I think I'm all about location. So I just want to be in an area that I can walk around. If I don't have to drive anywhere, that's kind of the dream. And you build community, you make great neighbors, you have your favorite coffee spot, you have the place that you walk your dog regularly, and we love those routines, and we love that stability. And to me, that's what I've lived in, some very tiny, crappy apartments, but I've loved the neighborhood that it's in.
Yeah. What does it say though about this city that people are moving rather than staying in place for more than 2 years? Because moving is so disruptive. It's so disruptive.
Scrambling to find cheaper rent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, moving sucks. It's expensive, but, people are getting priced out and they don't have any other option.
Well, and like you said, there's a lot of fluctuation out there for people who are living in houses that suddenly are on the market, people who own places and they're just kind of waiting it out. That's not a very stable feeling. Rent Cafe says Seattle brings in a steady influx of new renters, so everyone is trying to find a place to settle, but it's hard to get it right the first time, they say, which may contribute to people moving so quickly. I am going to say that one of the most challenging issues aside from everything else, is the rent. It's just people are chasing reasonable rent, which really doesn't exist anymore. How long did you stay in the first place you rented in Seattle? Did you get it right the first time?
Oh, no, I just did a 1-year lease, and it was really expensive. And
Really?
I remember I never ate out that year. It was tough.
Yeah, it's tough to be house poor.
Yeah.
It really is. What about you, Andy?
I was moving from a college town to Seattle. When I first moved here, I was going to be working really early hours at KUOW. So I lived in this neighborhood in the U District.
Oh, wow.
And I quickly realized that I did not want to live in a college neighborhood. Having just been in a college town, I was starting my first job in a big city, and so I lived in the U District for about 9 months, and then moved to another part of town.
Yeah, I rented my first place in the city over the phone because I was moving here from New Hampshire at the time, and I remember the phone call with the guy. He had a bunch of apartments on the backside of Queen Anne. I lived over on Dravis, and he said, which one do you want? I said, whatever one has the best bathroom. And he said, oh, all right. So I ended up in that place for a couple of years, and it was a good spot because I could bike to work. But the only reason I ended up moving was because a house became available. And like most things in this city, word of mouth, right? Better location, but we nicknamed it the Mold Shack.
That reminds me, though, when I did move to the U District, this was before a lot of places had photos online. So I sent my friend to scout it out. He went over to it. He took a look and he got back to me. He's like, it's pretty good. You should rent it.
Rent Cafe says the city's housing market is partially to blame. People aren't buying houses. They're renting longer, trying to shop around for the best deal. They also say moving is a young person's game. This is an interesting statistic. 81% of Gen Z Seattle residents and 53% of millennials in the city move within 2 years. What is the oldest acceptable age you can be and still ask your friends to help you move?
30. That is the cutoff. That's the cap.
That's the cap.
That makes sense to me.
As soon as you hit 30, you're not doing the pizza and beer thing anymore.
No, your body's not in the best shape.
Gotta hire a moving company. Got to.
I'm not going to blow up my knee to lift your couch.
That's true. It gets harder to, I think that is exactly on the money, Andy.
I wanted to use like the Nathan Fielder trick and convince people that they're not moving me. What they're getting is a workout. If anything, I'm saving them gym membership fees.
Right, and maybe you get a
I'm helping you. There's no there'll be a salad, but there will be no pizza. Now you get up those stairs. Okay, my vanity's not going to carry itself.
All right. One last thing before we go. Summer is over, but that doesn't mean ice cream is off the menu. The Stranger Center reporter out on the quest for a perfect banana split, which resulted in a single person eating 5 banana splits in 3 days.
Oh, God.
That is a lot of potassium. Good journalism? Do you like banana splits enough to do something like this?
The banana split is like the mythical creature of ice cream treats. You see it in movies. I'm thinking of the Ziggy Piggy and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You see it in TV shows. I don't think I've ever had a banana split. I mean, do people do it just to health it up a little bit? Do you need another sweet thing on top of your giant ice cream sundae?
My mom would never buy me the banana split. I always wanted the banana split, but it was like, the most expensive thing on the menu.
Yeah, it definitely is a pop culture thing. That's a thing that you see in the movie, with the maraschino cherry on top and like 2 spoons. But the idea of like sitting down, I love just reading this, and the stranger writer describes what it's like to go to a restaurant as an adult and order a banana split. and the server's like, we don't really make these. Like they're on the menu, but nobody orders them. I just love that experience. I think that's really great. I did know it because everything's about money these days. With 5 sundaes, each of them was like $10 a piece. That's $50 in ice cream.
That is ridiculous.
I'll just buy a hand of bananas. You know what I mean?
Wait, is your ice cream budget less than that? $50?
That's my cap. That's it. So I'm really maxing out right here.
This was a very specific quest for a very specific sundae with 3 types of ice cream: chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, 3 sauces: fudge, strawberry sauce, and crushed pineapple, whipped cream, and cherries, all composed between 2 lengthwise slices of freshly peeled banana. I cannot imagine eating that 5 times in 3 days. What dessert could you eat that many times?
Okay, last year I took a road trip from Missouri back to Seattle with my parents. It was like 4 days in the car. We made a lot of stops along the way, for example, at McDonald's to use the bathroom. I swear to you, almost every time we stopped, I'm like, I got to get a hot fudge sundae. I had so many hot fudge sundaes on the way home.
Yeah.
I don't even want to tell you how many, but that is my answer.
Okay.
I could eat that pretty often.
We are going to leave it there. Andy Hurst is Seattle Now senior producer. Casey Martin is a reporter here at KUOW. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you, Mur, for having me.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Go Mariners. Appreciate you listening to Seattle Now. Today's episode was produced by Vaughn Jones and edited by Andy Hurst. Our production team also includes Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you soon.